Stephanie, welcome to the WorkPlay podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
I'm so excited. You are so much fun to have on the WorkPlay team, so I can't wait for everyone to get to know you today. First, let's just start off by kind of introducing you. How did you get into photography? When did you join the team? Like, give us all the tea.
Yeah, so dang, I have to go all the way to the beginning then. So, photography, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it wasn't my first career choice. I was always a girl with a digital camera in her hand, just like being a historian for memory's sake and like as a hobby. But I never really saw it as like a serious career, just like a lot of people don't really see it as a career to start off with because it's just like a little bit harder to really get the kind of life that most people want. You have to have a certain kind of like work ethic. So it just seems a little bit unattainable at first. So I went a little bit more of a realistic route for less like lack of a better way to put it. But I was always super creative as well. So I have a foundation in fashion merchandising, which is essentially just a business administration degree, which gives you kind of like an umbrella of things that you can kind of like branch out into. So that's where I started. And then around 2020, I was living in New York, and obviously COVID happened. The world shut down, and a lot of people got a little bit rerouted in what it is that they wanted to do. At that time, I was working the corporate ladder with Nordstrom. So I was doing pretty well for myself, but like a lot of people in the company that have been in the company for even more years than myself, a lot of us got laid off. And I was one of those people. And then at that point, I started kind of thinking, okay, so I could continue this route working the corporate ladder, but then God forbid something like this happens again 20 years down the line with me being with a company 20 years plus, and then I'm out of a job and then back at the beginning. So I kind of started weighing out my options, and I was like, okay, so what can I do that can combine something that involves me working for myself, like photography that I really love to do. And I used it a lot for my social media and just like building my own brand. But then also can combine like this business degree that I just acquired, and I'm kind of out of a job at the moment. So photography kind of just like checked all the boxes when it came to that, because there's so many different sorry, my dog genres of photographies and just like industries in that realm that I can branch out to. So I invested in a camera, my first camera around 2020, and I started shooting in New York. I went to a lot of events, I started networking with a lot of people, and then it just kind of took its own life from there. I work at a photography studio here in Miami, so I have a lot of experience in that realm. And then I found WorkPlay, thankfully, through LinkedIn. A lot of events in between, but just to make a long story short, that's just like a little bit of a synopsis of how I came to find WorkPlay and find myself in this amazing organization.
No, I love it. I love it. And I think it makes a lot of sense, just, the trajectory of like loving digital, photography and like kind of it being a hobby, and then it like turning into something that you can actually get paid for and like
Right.
travel for. I feel like it's like such a dream. It's so fun. You're such a hype woman. Like, you are someone who just like when you shoot with Stephanie, it's like you're getting hyped up. Do you feel like you were always like that? Like, that's not natural to a lot of people, I hope you know. Like, do you think like that's just who you are? Like, where did you learn that from?
So that's funny that you say that, because I do get that a lot, and I think that came from just like another aspect of me. I used to perform a lot, and I was like in like extracurricular activities, and I was always like surrounded by like groups of girls, and we always had that camaraderie, and I kind of use that when I take pictures of people, because I mean, I feel like anybody can get in front of a camera, or anybody can be behind the camera, but it's like different when you have that connection and when you are genuinely trying to make the person that you're shooting feel good about themselves. I feel like that's something that I really like try to aim for, and I feel like it really translates in pictures, so yeah, thanks for that. I really
Yeah,
I really
no.
like.
Well, it's funny because I always feel like not even 50%, like 70% of the job is making sure that whoever is in front of the camera can like let loose so you can actually do your job. And I feel like that separates, maybe an amateur photographer to like a well-seasoned photographer of like, I know how to make someone feel really comfortable in the moment so I can get like a shot that I know that they're going to love. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
mean, I feel like, and I say this a lot, and I'm finding myself saying it more so recently. I always find that a good photographer is not just one that like makes you stand still and pose. A good for me, a photographer's job is to work around the moment. You know what I mean? So like the moment is just happening. It's just my job to capture the right moment and that right still, so I never really want a client to feel like they're just like standing there awkwardly. I always try to like, authentically make them laugh so I can find that perfect moment and that perfect angle of the laugh where they can be like, oh wow, like the emotion really translated.
Yeah, totally,
Mhm.
totally. So when you were growing up, like with a camera in your hand, were you interested in shooting people? Was it more like nature? Like what was kind of like the origin of loving the camera in your hand as you were growing up?
So again, in all honesty, I was more of like a historian kind of photographer. So like I would just have a little digital camera with me in my hand, and at any outings that I was with my friends, just candid moments, I would just be taking pictures, and you'd be like, just like making
But
memories
don't you
essentially.
think like that's like the best kind? Because like I feel like I was always that person in college where I'm like, we got to bring the camera,
Yes.
and like, and like those like artsy shots that you get to like do with your friends and you get to direct your friends. I feel like you get good at kind of understanding what a cool shot looks like,
A
not just a
hundred
perfect
percent.
shot, but like a cool shot.
Yes, 100%. It's necessary, especially now, and since everything's going so like digital. Like I'm glad that I was that person with that camera because now we have those memories. But that's how it kind of started, and then once social media started taking over, and it kind of became more of like, okay, what is your personal brand as opposed to like just post your fun memories online and stuff like that. I started kind of like changing the lens towards more myself, and I kind of use myself as my own muse a little bit. And I started experimenting with photography in that way and like self portraits. And then it kind of evolved to when I actually got my camera. I really enjoy like portrait photography now of other people because now I feel like I can capture their essence and just like their energy through a picture. And I really enjoy that. So,
Yeah, because I feel like if you like being in front of the camera as a photographer, which I also feel like is rare,
mhm.
but like I feel like I'm kind of similar. I relate to you in that way where it's like it's so fun to create something in front of the camera, but then you understand what it feels like to move in front of a camera,
Exactly.
and then you have more empathy
Yeah.
when you're shooting someone.
Yes,
You know what I
honestly,
mean?
you don't understand how many times, because I am comfortable in front of the camera as well. I've shot with other photographers that don't do that hype or like don't give the direction in the same way that I probably would do it for my client, and you can really feel like the difference. You're like, oh, like now I know. Let me make sure I do this because when the client is in my position, I would hate for them to feel like this because this is annoying.
Yeah, and I also feel like maybe, the client kind of feels insecure in a way where it's like maybe insecure is the wrong word, but like uncomfortable because they feel like it's a weird thing to do because it's not their
Yes.
everyday thing. And so when you're able to kind of like step into their shoes and even like show them the pose, show them,
Amazing.
what the energy should be, it kind of lets their guard down to be like, oh, like it's not weird to do this. Like we're
Yes.
just, we're
It's a
just
collaborative thing. And that's always something that I always try to really like portray. Like, this is your photo shoot. Like, you're going to be a part of every single part of it. Because otherwise, it leaves you with doubt in your mind. And it's like, okay, am I doing the right thing? Like, does this look right? At that point, they're kind of guessing. And then it's never going to end up well at that point.
I totally agree. How do you think someone who is like a potential workplay client or maybe someone who's already in the process
Mhm.
who is wanting to build their personal brand, and you had mentioned like you had started to like put yourself in front of the camera, what is your advice to that person who is finally getting in front of the camera for the first time?
Honestly, the advice that I give to anybody who is trying to start building their brand online and social media is don't overthink it. Anything you do is content at the end of the day. What people want is just to get a little bit of more of an insight into your daily life and who you are as a photographer, as a normal regular human being, as a daughter, whatever it is that you are. People just want to get an insight into that, and I'm seeing that a lot of people, while the internet is very hard, which I feel like is what negates people from posting their stuff. They're like, I don't want to post this and become off cringe or like get canceled or whatever the case may be. But the only way that you're gonna get seen is by posting things. So the longer that you harp on something because it's not perfect or because you don't want to be cringe or because whatever the reason, you're just prolonging yourself being seen by that many more people, if that makes sense. So especially when you start off, post everything that you can, and then as you start posting, you're gonna start realizing, oh, maybe this doesn't work as well as this does, or maybe I gravitate to this more than this, and then you start kind of like filtering out and really finding what your niche is, and then from there your audience is just gonna just essentially gravitate towards you because you're doing what it is that you want to do.
For people who are like, oh my gosh, I totally don't want to be cringe. What is cringe? Like from your generation, like what do you think is cringe for you and like the people that are online so people can steer straight or like steer away from that?
Honestly, like I may not be the best person to answer this because like I can understand what other people feel as cringe, but to me, I'm like let's say, and this is not my generation, but like Jojo Siwa, right? She's like Gen Z, like she is like what I feel like is the epitome of cringe right now. Like a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's just too much, like But if you really think about it, like she's paying all her bills. She's paying all her family's bills. Like you guys are like here wasting time, like saying, oh, she's cringe and she's like whatever it is that you say she is. But she's living her happy-go-lucky life and she's not stressing about anything. So like that's why I say like don't worry about what cringe is, because at the end of the day, like if it's cringe to care and it's cringe to like actually be seen trying and like putting yourself out there to be able to get yourself like ahead, then I'm cringe. I'm sorry, like it is what it
I
is.
feel like your people then find you, right? Like everyone's so worried
Exactly.
about like people leaving their community or not understanding. And I think from a business point of view, maybe, the entrepreneur listening to this that's afraid of being cringe is maybe like scared, like, oh, if I'm cringe, then I won't get sales coming into my business. And it's really quite the opposite. It's like the people who maybe are sticking around for not the real you aren't really going to evolve with you, or they're not your exact person, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like you kind of have to be your own set of cringe to
Mhm.
attract your people, maybe.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like a lot of people are like marketing themselves or are trying to aim their content once they actually start to take social media seriously. They're aiming their content towards people that they like know from high school or like, like are like not the audience that they're trying to target. And then that's who they're worried about is like, oh, I'm saying that I'm cringe or whatever. But it's like, they're not going to be the ones that are going to be buying this product or this service or whatever. Like think about the target audience that you're really trying to like hone in on and focus on what they think will be cool. Don't worry about Jeff from high school, like junior year, like whatever, like, you know?
I feel that. I feel that. And I think so many people are in transition modes with their business too. So it could go both ways. It's like maybe who you used to serve is no longer who you are going to serve. So you kind of have to like have the same mentality of like, hey, I'm going to embody this now and it's going to attract a different set of eyes, a different audience. But that's a good thing. And like these people will fall away. I just think that, especially when you're trying to appease everyone, I think the visuals themselves kind of turn out a little bland because you're like, oh, I don't want to
Mhm.
like, ostracize this set of group, this group of people and these these people won't get it. And it's just like,
Yep.
no, just do you be your own type of cringe. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
How do you tap into someone's brand very quickly? So, like, when you first shoot with someone on, a WorkPlay member, and it's like maybe it's their first shoot, how do you quickly tap into their brand so that you're on the same page on the day of the shoot?
So something that I've realized that I started doing since being in workplay, to be able to do that is during the debrief. So we have like a little like 10-minute session in the beginning of before doing anything, where we kind of just like introduce ourselves to each other and kind of get like a vibe for each other. I always let them know, hey, look, I understand that this is what your brand is about, and I kind of like let them know I did my own little research, but I always like to let them talk to me about what it is that they do so that I can really see how they are when talking about what it is that they love to do. And I feel like once they're talking about what it is that they love to do, like it's kind of hard for them to like hold that essence and like that passion for what they do. They tend to go a little bit longer than maybe wanted or expected or whatever. But I really enjoy that time because at that point, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like I really pick up on like energies of people. I get to really get a feel for them and their personality and the kind of emotion that they want to put into their business. And then from there, I can kind of like go off of like how I'm gonna interact with them throughout the shoot and what kind of examples I want to give them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's really important to like note because we can have your brand on paper all we want, and we can talk through it in more of like a just like a Zoom setting or what,
Mhm.
with the workplace team. But like when it gets down to it, to actually creating the thing, I think as a content creator, you're tapping into the energy of them. So you know how to direct them, So it's like that is such an important time of the shoot. I'm glad that you mentioned that
Yeah.
because like throughout the shoot, you got to be able to like pivot with them, or like maybe you have a crazy idea and it's like you only have that crazy idea because their energy. Because if they're like a
Exactly. Exactly.
crazy outgoing person, like you can have a crazier outgoing idea because that's more true to them than maybe someone who's more like reserved and like poised, and it's like maybe the idea is like way more in their direction and it's crazy for them, but like and it syncs with them, but you gotta like know the energy.
You have to. It's vital. Like it could be the most professional photographer in the world, but if like the energy between the photographer and the client is not there, it's not gonna go well. Like
I
it's not.
totally agree. Okay, so you are based in Miami. Tell us all the things. Like, what is your favorite place to shoot in Miami? We want to know all the deets.
Okay, so Miami's a little bit different when it comes to shooting, I feel, just because of the climate here. It's very unpredictable. It could be really, really hot or really, really wet. If you go on either side, it could be a disaster. So you have to always take that into account and prepare beforehand. Because, yeah, it could go left really quick, really quick. But as far as shooting here, there's so many amazing places that you can shoot here. Obviously, the setting here is unlike anywhere else. So it's really fun to do photo shoots here. I honestly would say my favorite location so far for shooting with Workplay has been the Botanical Gardens. I
Same.
feel like that place is like humongous, number one. Like you can spend the entire day there if you really wanted to. And two, like you just feel like you're in another world. Like it doesn't feel like Miami, which is what I love about it. As much as I love Miami, I was born and raised here. And there are amazing places. I feel like a lot of the places, like the Art Deco and stuff, like it starts to feel like a little bit like repetitive and it's kind of like stereotypical Miami, which is fine if that's the vibe that somebody wants. But when somebody is a little bit more like out there and wants something a little bit more different, it kind of gets a little hard to find places. But the Botanical Gardens, I did a shoot with at that place like a couple of weeks ago with Poe, And those pictures came out so beautiful. She looked like she was in a literal rainforest in like the middle of like Brazil or something. I don't know. Like it was
Yeah.
wild.
I feel like it's impossible to take a bad photo there. Like I have yet to see a bad photo come out of that place because it's like the plants just I don't think people realize how big the plants are. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like the monsteras that you have like in your house, like those are maybe the size of your face. These are like the size of your body. It's like people have no idea until they actually get here.
Yeah, yeah, it was wild.
As far as like getting prepared for Miami shoots, because a lot of WorkPlay members will actually fly to Miami, get their shoot done there because it's amazing. And then obviously you're here, so they don't have to pay for like a WorkPlay content creator's travel to get there. So
Mhm.
it's a great situation. What like would you suggest that they bring on the shoot, especially like specifically Miami, because I do think it can be a little unpredictable.
Yes. So as far as what I recommend to bring if you're flying down to Miami, so definitely bring sunblock. You need sunblock.
That's good
You
advice.
know?
I was not thinking that.
Bring a sunblock, okay? Global warming is a real thing. Skin cancer is a real thing. We don't want that. Okay, so let's make sure we're protecting our skin because the rays hit different here, 100%. I would say bring a fan. That's something that I'm also noticing is very important because it does get really hot here. And I've had a couple of clients that have had to like take a break because it's been hot and like they need to like collect themselves. So definitely bring a fan. I would say like one of those like Mister ones for like amusement parks and like people. Those are awesome. Sorry, my dog is like going through something. She's like my cat's like staring at it like. So sunblock, fan with a mist. Um, if you're able to bring a person, a buddy to, help you, that is very helpful. Because again, the weather combined with like a bunch of things going on and like so many things, like it's just helpful to just maintain the overall flow and efficiency of the photo shoot. And then just make sure that you bring lots and lots of water, whether you buy water here or if you bring your own jug and like fill it up. I don't know how you want to travel with that. That's your choice. But those are the top things I would say. And then from there, just like a happy go lucky attitude because it is a little bit of a mission sometimes. Again, because of weather, it does get hard to continue, especially full days of photo shoots, but you got to definitely push through.
Yeah,
I would
it's
say.
worth it. Yeah, like
It
the
is.
content in Miami that you get is so worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna add to that list, like maybe like a powder, just to like
Oh, yes.
powder the sweat off of your face because
A
you will
little towel, a little towel for blotting, and then the powder. Yeah, so that
totally.
you don't get the little sponge sweaty because that's gross.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, I'm gonna do some rapid fire with you.
Oh, okay.
I say rapid fire and then I always like
It's
want
like
to like
seriously.
explain the answers, but we're gonna try our best. Okay, favorite workplace city that you've shot in, like to shoot a workplace client?
Oh, New York City. So far.
I love that. Where in New York is your favorite?
Honestly, I love New York in general, but Brooklyn is a really nice area for me.
Mhm.
I really enjoy like the vibe of Brooklyn.
I love that.
Mhm.
Favorite workplace shoot so far?
Oh, my favorite workplace shoot so far, I would say, is Po Hung Yu. He was fabulous. Oh my gosh, he was just like down for whatever, and just like such a ray of sunshine. And she was just like very like creative as well. We were bouncing ideas off each other a lot. And yeah, she just brought a very nice, fun, creative element that I feel not a lot of workplace creators like bring because a lot of it is like a little bit more lifestyle and like at least the ones that I've shot so far. For her, it was a little bit more like mystical and like she got in the water. She had like this big like mohawk like headpiece, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm living for all of this. So she's definitely my favorite one so far.
That is your cue. Any potential or current workplace members, like go bigger with your shoots. get away from like the coffee shops. Like, let's create a bigger vision. So
Yeah, let's turn you into your alter ego.
yeah,
That's what I like to say. I like to capture people in their alter egos and like let's turn you into something that you know you have in you, but you maybe don't know how to like convey in person. Let's do it. I'm all
I
about it.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, bucket list city for a workplace shoot.
Oh my God. I don't even know if you guys go to here, but I know you guys are in Europe. But Greece, if you guys ever have anything in Greece, I swear I will give you my firstborn son. I'm just kidding. But like,
Okay,
I want to
that,
go.
you guys heard it here first. Like, if
Like,
you guys are going to Greece, Stephanie wants to do your workplace shoot in
yes.
Greece. So request her for the Greece
Uh,
shoot. I love it. I love it. Okay, favorite photo shoot like hack or tool that you bring?
Oh, favorite photo shoot hack or tool. I'm not the most technical person. So if it's a technical question, I probably will not
No,
have
it could be
anything.
whatever,
But
whatever.
as far as
Could
like my
be.
hack, I say research on your client and just like talk to your client, you know?
Mhm.
Talk to your client as much as possible. My whole thing, my whole selling point, I'm a great photographer, but I think my selling point is like how I make my clients feel, you know? So like definitely cater to your client, you know? Like I know you want to get a certain shot and you want to be this amazing photographer, but really like I said before, like they could have amazing pictures at the end of the session, but if they didn't feel good throughout it, that nothing really, it doesn't really matter. They didn't have a good photo shoot. So like
Totally.
definitely cater to your client. That would be my little hack and my little
That's
tidbit.
definitely your superpower.
Yeah.
Your hype woman energy. It's so good. My last rapid fire question is your favorite weather conditions for shooting.
Oh, my favorite weather condition. So I'm not a cold girly,
Me
being
either.
being from Miami. So it would definitely need to be sunny. But I would say like not too midday. I would say like either like going from 3 p.m. on or from like early like I don't know like 8 a.m. to like 11 ish.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
so like sunrise, sunset, golden hour, blue hour, those times of the day are always fun to capture. Like the pictures always look so like dreamy and like otherworldly. You know?
Yeah, I feel like people think that like, sun, like direct sun is like amazing weather. Oh, it's sunny, but it's like we're just sitting there like, oh my God, this is gonna be hard.
Yeah, you're like, oh God, you're like blown out and you just look like sickly. You don't look tan, you just look crazy. Like it's just no, it's not fun.
Totally, totally. I agree. I agree. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on. Any current or potential workplay members? Stephanie's in Miami. She's waiting to shoot with
Yeah.
you. I'm so excited to have you on the team, and our workplay members just absolutely love you.
Yay. Thank you guys for having me. This was so much fun. Yes, if you guys ever want to work with me, I'm ready for you. Come and get me.
I love it.